Hello, everyone. My name is Anae Augustini. I'm CEO of CID Insurance Programs. We are a business insurance wholesaler, um, and um, and I'm going to be presenting today our webinar called "Jumpstart Your Commercial Production for 2023." It's December, and the new year is going to be here before you know it. So it's what a great way uh, to spend 30 minutes and think about what you want to do for 2023. So our agenda today is really just to uh, take a look at what your agency goals for 2023 should be and how you can achieve those results. Um, we're going to talk about a proven sales equation that can be helpful for new business and renewals, and then how to create a marketing plan and budget to develop your branding, company branding, and then as well learn how to manage your book of business and build your team. Building your team is important, so we'll spend some time on that. Let's do some logistics first, just before we get started. And you're all muted, so it's going to be important for you to be able to speak. So please pose your questions in the chat. You'll be able to hear but not speak, but please, your voice is important. Put your questions in the chat room at any time throughout the webinar, and I'll stop and answer them for you. There's going to be a short survey at the end, so please also give us your feedback in reference to the webinar and any other ideas for new webinars that we can help you with. Okay, let's start with the balancing act. So where are you top heavy? Usually an independent or captive agency is going to have a mix of personal lines, life, maybe life health, and commercial lines. So sometimes I like this triangle because it just gives you this perspective that allows you to stop and think about breaking it up into those three categories and looking at them each individually. But let's talk a little more in depth about that same thing. That means taking a look at your agency operations. What percentage of your book is personal lines, commercial, and life? So where are you top heavy, as the previous slide mentioned? In some of these lines, it can be difficult or more challenging to have a lot more of one line of business than another. So, for example, personal lines is very heavy in service. And so if you have a big book of personal lines, it's going to mandate a lot of labor in your office that will take away from other important aspects of running an agency. In the going the other direction, commercial insurance is less service intensive, and so we write as a wholesaler only business insurance, so we're big on commercial lines of business, and we think that the service on those is far less intense and takes up less labor, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. What kinds of results are you achieving in these lines of insurance? Where are you most profitable? Where are you earning the most revenue? And again, you have to take into effect what we were just talking about is labor comes into that, and the amount of time it takes to service. So where are you and your team spending the most of your time? Again, that is what I would speak of referencing labor, and that is where a lot of your time can be wasted and spent on things that are far less valuable to your organization. So these are things to consider. Do you measure your results on an ongoing basis? So we're going to talk about setting some goals here, but that this is a really important um, part of that. The goal setting and the monitoring of the goal setting is to measure your ongoing results and take a look at where you're growing the most in your agency. So let's talk about how to determine your agency goals, objectives. What do you really want to achieve? In my personal opinion, I find that many insurance agencies end up spending so much time on service that they don't ever get to what the really important things, which is new business and renewals. Or sometimes they spend a lot of time on renewals and not enough time on new business. This is what you really want to take a look at in your agency operational systems. Um, and along with that is if you are needing, we all have to service our clients. We all have to write new business, and we all have to do renewals. So one thing we've done as an agent, as an organization, a wholesaler, is we have developed really uh, systematic operational system. So everything we do in our office has a system to it that's very efficient and clean, and everyone uses the same systems to function in new business service and with renewals. So that becomes something. And you can reach out to me at another time if you want to talk further with me and pick my brain on this. But this is a really important way. You have to be efficient where you can in your operations side, and it has to be managed, and you have to train your employees um, to use those systems. Also, you want to analyze your renewal process and customer service efficiency. Um, are we spending too much time there and not enough in other important areas? You definitely want to have realistic goals for new business production. Uh, New business is a very important part of an agency growing or staying healthy and profitable, because you will not be able to keep every renewal. It's just not possible. So it's important that you be able to, you need to be growing with new business because you're going to lose some of your renewals, no matter what you do. So that's how you gain your PIF, your policy in force count. So determine production percentage goals for agency lines of insurance. Where do you want to grow the most on that triangle? If I were making a recommendation to you, I would say I want to be growing the commercial side. You can put more premium on the books, and that's sort of basically that balanced policy premium size. Um, you will naturally write a lot of small premiums um, in commercial, but you have to focus on establishing growth in those lines, and which ones you want to focus on the most, and then you have to set some goals for the size of premium. So we call it small, medium, and large, and at least you want to focus on the small, which is usually uh, minimum premium to 15,000, and then medium is 15,000 to 50,000. So you want to get into that range where you've got a healthy book of a variety of premium sizes. So how do we go about achieving these results that we want to? As I mentioned before, streamlining operations and developing systems is really important, and being automated. You have to come into the tech world and get as automated as you can, so your team can be as efficient as possible. You want to establish that a marketing production plan and a budget, um, whether small or big, but establishing a budget of where you can money to spend on marketing and how to effectively make that money work for you. You want to develop your company branding, and we will talk more about that as we go along. And you need to manage your production results. I'll talk a little more about that as well. And then again, it's really important to build an agency team. It's like a duplication of yourself. And again, I have a slide on that as well. So let's start with building your agency team. One of the things that I think agency owners a lot of times make the mistake of is they hire someone to be an assistant, and I'm totally against that. Only because an assistant is someone that you're going to task to do just uh, menial tasks. If you're going to hire someone you want to teach the business to, they need to duplicate you, and so they need to learn everything about the business, and that's the best way. When we're a smaller company, we've got 20 employees, so we are at the size, so we recruit from, we're about a mile and a half away from San Diego State, and so we recruit college students, and we do that work start out part-time with us while they're going to college, and we try to get them early in their degree so that they can work here all through their college degree. And many of them, we've hired most of our team, our professional team, for full-time positions, career positions, from those that graduated and were a good fit with our company. That's how we've gone about finding good people. We also are really, really careful with our interview process. We are a 2 to 3 interview, and we really drill down hard looking for the good character, uh, quality of person and personality, uh, and someone who has the skill sets that we need, and can be efficient, fast learner, takes good notes, that kind of thing. So that that's been our sort of a claim to fame, because we've really developed a great team. How to keep good people is also really important, and I think many employers forget this part. We take very good care of our employees. We put on events on a regular basis so that we create this camaraderie between everyone in our office, so everyone feels part of a team, and we reward them accordingly. We give bonuses. Um, and we have a potluck, not a potluck, but we have a luncheon every that we have a restaurant deliver once a month, so that we all get together and talk and have fun. So that creating an environment that people want to come to work is really important. Training and motivating is also another really important area. Um, we are really big on training. So when we hire a new employee, they go through a very extensive, very detailed training program. It takes time, but it's super important that they learn how to do their job well. Otherwise, we're setting them up for failure and ourselves up for failure. And then we create ways, team, team uh, events to motivate our teams, and we set goals for them as well. Okay, so that's a little bit on building your agency team. So next, let's move on to utilizing a sales equation for new business and renewals. So we're going to dig into, how do you go about um, managing and setting goals for new business and renewals. So this is a really simple equation, and everyone, there's sales equations, lots of them. You could Google it, you could see all kinds of things. I've been around for many years in around sales, so I'm very aware. I have been surprised over and over again by how simple this equation is, but yet it applies so well in the insurance world. For both new business and renewals. So it's X day. which X date would be for new business, would be gathering expiration dates of commercial business that you would like to quote for someone. And that's, if you go out and you look, not everyone's going to have an expiration date, that's happening right now or 30 days from now. So you're going to be, when you're out looking, you're obviously going to be developing. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this aspect. Same thing applies for renewals. And I'll go, my next slide will tell you a little bit more about that. But you're also managing an expiration list for renewals that that you will be you will be needing to start the process of the renewal, just like new business. So you're managing it by an expiration date as well. Then you're going to add the presentation. The presentation is on commercial insurance for new business and renewals. You need to make a professional presentation. And renewals, sometimes you don't talk to that insured more than more than once a year at renewal. So it's important to make a good impression when you do. That presentation is part of it. And then ultimately, people can fail if they don't close. They don't follow up on the new business. They don't follow up on renewing that policy. And then that's how you get your new business sale or a renewal policy renewed. So each part of this equation has to be worked equally. You can't do one without the other. So all three are important to the process, and you have to pay attention to all three to be successful. So I mentioned that I was going to talk a little bit more. Managing your new business, how we do it is we have a production report that we produce once a week that shows us how we're doing for new business in our company. Some weeks, it's not as good as others, and a lot of people don't want to actually, face the fact that they didn't write any business. So, with that being said, it's just important that you be aware of how you're doing in your office on a weekly basis for new business, not monthly. Because if you wait a month to figure out what you did right, it's hard to turn the ship around. You've only got 12 months to do that, 12 times to do that. But if you measure it weekly, then you've got 52 start dates, and that is much more motivating and keeps you in reality with what you're actually doing in your office. So again, if you have questions, please ask them. If you want to have a discussion with me on any of this at another time, I'd be glad to talk to you. So in addition, on this slide, I want to mention how that renewals are different. We manage our renewals by month. So we will, like January. So right now, someone in our renewal underwriters would be working. They'd be finishing up November. So they'd have a November expiration date list. They would have December's they'd be working on right now, and then they'd be already started on January's, and potentially could be starting on February. So that's how we run it. So you're just running it by expiration date, and then you're working them as you move forward. So that's a really important. These tools. These are some of the tools and systems that we use that are very effective, and I use them. I manage by that production system, that report I get weekly. So I'm constantly looking at those numbers. Okay. So understand. Let's talk about marketing. I want to talk specifically about commercial marketing. And I guess it's for you. It's important for you to think about how your commercial clients can learn about you. I am really big. We have built our organization on some things that I'm going to talk about as we go, but we've built it on having our own marketing department, number one, and number two, really running a good giving really good service to our clients, which is our retail brokers. And that being said, we receive a lot of referrals as a result of that. So looking at it, community involvement is really important for a retail broker. Word of mouth, referrals, recommendations. Um, we get a lot of people coming to us for online searches, which is really interesting, because someone's looking for something specific and we just happen to pop up and we're there for them. And then marketing efforts can be, or materials that are distributed. Talking with your customers about your service and products, getting their feedback, asking them for a referral can be really important. And then ask them about their experience with your other competitors, so that you can differentiate yourself. We'll talk more about that as we go on. And then census data on your target market would be really valuable as well. And you could get so much of that online. So how do we build that marketing plan? Well, you want to build a center of influence. And that they're defining that as a sphere of influence within his or her community. So you want to be recognized as the trustworthy, credible person that is an expert in the business insurance world. A recommendation from this person is viewed as highly reliable in the community. So that's what you want your center of influence. So you want to be, and you want to build that. You build your reputation around other people of influence as well, such as other business owners, which is when you're writing commercial, that's pretty much, what you're going to be needing to have contacts with. Local chambers of commerce, schools, churches, neighborhood associations, charitable and fundraising organizations, and business networks. There's so much out there. And now that, we've left COVID behind, everything is starting to open back up. So this is a wonderful opportunity. 2023 should be a great year to get back into the swing of things. So a little bit more on that, making that plan for commercial marketing. You want to get involved with business councils and local associations. There's a lot you can do. You could hold information sessions at events and meetings. Ask. A lot of times you can get that opportunity to be a speaker at some of these business councils or local associations. You really want to network with local business owners. That's really the goal. You want to participate in local events and sponsor local events that are like maybe in target industries. So, maybe there's the Contractors Association or maybe the Property Management Association, and you want to get involved in that organization. You can get a lot that will produce a lot of leads and a lot of networking opportunities to meet people that you can write their insurance for. So what do you do when you're getting these X dates, right? You're out there marketing, and we've got this whole system of, you've got 12 months out of the year that you're going to have a potential X date for. So you need to create some kind of filing system for that, for your new business leads, and then create risk profiles on those on those businesses, so that you know what you're going to be working going into the future. You can't, if you start today, you're going to build up. You might be lucky to get a small percentage of those that you can write in the first 60 to 90 days, but you're going to build 12 months worth, because everyone's going to have an X date in one of those months, right? So, so you want to create a business filing system. Some of your agency management systems will allow you to be able to do that. So you might have that already programmed into your agency management system, but maybe not using it. And that's a great way to do it. Or create your own Excel file, and then just keep files on each of your risk profiles that you create for each of the businesses that you're going to be putting their insurance for. Gather as much information initially, and then come back around to put a quote together and propose it to them. You want to manage those commercial profiles by a 10-week marketing schedule. So you really want to start working a risk 10 weeks out in order to make sure that you have all the information you need. It gives you enough time to circle back around with that business owner to be able to make sure that you develop enough of a relationship with them in order to swing earning their business. You want to have a marketing strategy and put it to work. So that can look like a number of things, like what are you going to go after, a certain type class of business? What is your strategy? What do you want to do? You really need to be proactive, not reactive. Incoming calls are usually the worst business to try and write. I call it running you around the mulberry bush, and because it typically is not the business, attractive business that's going to stay on the books a long time. So I have a marketing strategy. It's really important. Establish sales goals for premium and policy in force growth. Again, you need to be growing your policy in force count in order to be a successful agency and stay in business. Make contacts and data mine. When I say data mine, that's X dating. And then follow that sales equation. Work all parts of it. X date, presentation, close equals sale. So what does a budget for marketing look like? Well, there's ways that you can invest, and I think this is going to be up to you to really determine that, because there's a lot of great ways, and a lot of agencies choose different ways to go about this. It's really what will work best for you. Business association memberships, as we've talked about, that would need to be part of your budget, because there's usually an annual membership to be part of that organization, and there's probably some kind of sponsorships that you will probably be investing in order to get your business face out there. Social media consultants can be very helpful in helping you with a social media presence and putting that out there on a regular basis. So you might need to budget for a monthly expense. If you have somebody in your office that's really good on social media, but ideally, I always think a consultant is going to do a better job for a professional representation. Advertising expenses. I'm not big on advertising in magazines and things like that. I just don't think that really is a good use of marketing budgets. But that really determines. It could be helpful to advertise in maybe a business association membership, maybe an online, on their online website. That might be something that might be helpful. It really depends on the situation. There is also commercial lead generation services, and that is another way. If you're not going to go, you're not going to be developing a marketing plan to go after your own business. Maybe you want to go to a commercial lead generation service and then let them feed you leads that you can work on a regular basis. I don't know how successful that is, because I think it's as good as the information that they have to call and set those appointments for you or create a lead for you. because you can buy lists, but how good are those lists is another story. So that budget, a couple ways to look at this, to better understand how much you want to spend. What and most experts recommend like a range of 2 to 8% of gross sales. So you could look at it from that perspective. Um, Another way to look at it is the lifetime value of the customer. It's you identify how much average profit is made during the lifetime of a customer relationship, and then determine how much you're willing to spend to acquire that more of that customer. So there's two ways to look at it, and that would make it easy. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about developing your brand, which is really it's who you are. You know uh, what do you how do you want to present your company um, to your clients? First of all, you really need to know what differentiates you from your competition. And I know for us as an organization, the one thing we do really well is we're very responsive uh, through email and by phone. People get a hold of us. Our underwriters are very knowledgeable and provide quotes in a very timely manner. Uh, they're very responsive to questions and um, and are good communicators. And so, in doing so, that's that that makes us different than a lot of our competition, who don't spend a lot of time on making sure that they're delivering quality service. So that's that's one of the things that differentiates us. But as in addition to that, we're big on education. So we want you to be as knowledgeable as possible. We want to make your job as easy as possible for you to write commercial business and to write it with us. So from that standpoint, you need to look at that from your own perspective for your own agency. What is it that makes you different than the competition? And who do you see as your commercial clients? That's one thing. You know, who do you, who do you want to be doing business with? Because there are some clients that can really drive you crazy, and you wish that you had never written a policy for them. And I mean, that's just a fact. That's a reality. And so always making sure that you are writing writing insurance for quality clients is important as well. And what do you want your agency identity to look like? You know, that goes all the way down to what your logo, how you represent yourself, your website, et cetera, et cetera. What qualities? I think I've talked a little bit about what qualities your brand represents, and then how are you going to express that brand to your customers is really important. Okay, but let's not forget managing your renewal business is equally important, and you want to treat every renewal like new business. Because again, a lot of times with commercial insurance, you may not talk to them, but once a year, and it's really important that you take good care of them at the renewal. You want to manage those renewals by that monthly expiration report, as I showed you earlier. And you're going to be managing multiple months at one time because you're working back to close and finalize some renewals, and then you're working the current month, and then you're working future months. So in addition to that, you want to calculate your retention and lapse ratios monthly. What is that? How are you doing with your renewals? So it's as simple as dividing your total renewable premium by the amount that did not renew, and that will give you a retention number, and so that becomes really important. Lapses really, the difference between retention and lapse is the first within the first 12 months of the policy. If it makes it to the 13th month, it becomes retention. But lapse, you want to monitor whether you're having a problem with lapse, which means you're putting on business and new business, and you're losing it the first year, and that's not healthy for an agency. So you really do want to keep a lookout for both retention and lapse ratios monthly. You always want to know how you're doing. You don't want to figure it out at the end of the year. You want to manage policy audits to prevent non-renewals. That's a big issue, especially on workers' comp and certain auditable liability policies. And then ask for referrals at the time you handle a renewal. That's the best time to ask for someone to refer another business client to you. So measuring and refining questions to ask yourself. So are your marketing strategies building awareness of your agency? You have to, I know we get so busy, we're running around, crazy sometimes running the agency. It's really important to sit back, and think about whether your marketing strategies are working. We do that all the time here to make sure, and we're changing it accordingly on an ongoing basis. And are your marketing efforts reaching the commercial prospects that you really want? And I know you need to be, if you're newer in business, you're not going to necessarily recognize the quality of commercial prospects that you want, but you will over time. And the more you write, the more you will see what the good and bad of what kind of commercial clients that you want to have. And then are you treating your renewal book like new business? As I mentioned before, it's really important to take good care of your business clients at renewal. So I've provided a few little tidbits for you, and I hope this has been of value to you. I wanted to make sure that you knew about the tools that we have. I mentioned education and all the things that we really work hard to provide for you. Our website has lots of recorded webinars on different coverages and by class of business, so that you can go in and watch as many as you want, and your employees can watch them to help them become more trained on certain coverages and classes of business. We have templates. We have proposal templates, which are really helpful. They're Word documents. You can customize them and make them your own and do whatever you want with them, but they're just a template to get you started for all different kinds of commercial classes of business. We also have marketing flyers that are definitely valuable. You can put your own information on them. It's a great way. You can use them to promote other coverages on renewals and with new business as well. And then we've got lots of fillable applications on our website as well. So that's a great place to start. And then we want to help you. We've got experienced and responsive underwriters. We're ready to quote your business for you. And then we've got this full list of target classes. It's really extensive. We write more than what we have here, but we tried to get sort of just a benchmark of listing of different classes of business that we write. So Jacob's going to send this out to you, so you don't have to worry about this. It is on our website as well, but he will send this to you for those of you that have attended today.